All right, let's get back into it. Washington hosting the Eagles yesterday. Eagles looking pretty good in the first half. Touchdown passes to Ertz, touchdown passes to Goddard, but then things went south. Washington scored 27 unanswered points. Carson Wentz sacked 8 times, threw 2 picks, lost a fumble too, and that Washington defense dropped the hammer on Philly. 27-17 was your final. Here is Carson Wentz after the loss.
Kind of a tale of 2 halves, really. I got to be better. I know that came out, offensively, feeling good. We moved the ball right down the field, put up points, got ahead in the game, and, they got to clean up the interceptions. I put our defense in a bad spot on a couple occasions. And, it was just we've definitely lost some momentum, and, we didn't make the plays we needed to make. And I got to be better. It starts with me. I got to protect the ball, lead these guys better, and I'll own that.
Carson, it wasn't kind of a tale of 2 halves. It was a tale of 2 halves. Michael, your former team, you surprised what happened yesterday with the Eagles?
Yeah, very surprised after being so successful in the first half. And Carson took the words right out of my mouth. It was definitely a tale of 2 halves. And, I can't blame the 8 sacks because, throughout the course of the game, they made plays and they were productive at times. And, as, a Philadelphia Eagle, we always have that mindset that we're going to beat the Washington football team. We always felt like, regardless of what. So I think them jumping out on top early and coming into the game and having that bravado and looking good, I think they got a little complacent, and I think it caught up with them. And but this is definitely Carson Wentz's responsibility to carry this team. Somehow, some way make up for the flaws and the things that aren't going so well. And when it's time to pick up the team in the third and fourth quarter, he got to put the team on his back. If they're not blocking well, if the schemes aren't working, then, this is what you get paid the big bucks for, to step up, and put your team in a position where y'all can at least fight and will yourself to a win. And that was supposed to happen against the Washington football team yesterday, and it did come out. But I want to see more guys stepping up. They got to get healthy, obviously, and my man Deshaun Jackson. Carson got to air it out to Deshaun, man. He's the X factor. He's the guy that can change the game. So whatever that's going to take, they need to go back week 2 and find a way to fix the problems, because there are some problems with this team right now.
Mike, I think it's almost impossible for them to fix this problem right away. There's not a lot of 6'5", 330-pound human beings walking the planet with feet like LeBron James. It's just not. Nate Herbig, have you heard of him? Jack Driscoll, have you heard of him? No one has heard of him. No. That was Carson Wentz, right side of his offensive line. So when you look at it, everyone's going to kill Carson Wentz. Everybody's going to kill the Philadelphia Eagles. But the reality is that this game was a result of them not being protected on the front side. Like, who are these guys? And Driscoll went down. He was hurt. So when you look at this game, it wasn't a tale of 2 halves. It really was 2 things: turnovers and protection. We know if you lose the turnover battle, you're probably going to lose the game. So this is a huge issue for the Philadelphia Eagles. This could be their season. I don't want to overreact here because it is week 1 and it is possible. But if I am in that locker room, or if I'm the coach there, here's what I'm doing. I am relying on the run game, and I'm going to 3-man route combinations. I'm not going out with 4 and 5 guys out in the pass game. I'm using my running backs and tight ends to stay in and protect, because you have to ask yourself this question: is it worth it? We know this guy's injury history, and if you're asking this guy to drop back 30, 35 times, 40 times a game, we may be looking at a broken Carson Wentz. And I don't think this is good for the organization. I don't think this is good for Carson Wentz.
So 2 things. One is I want to talk about the other side of the ball for a moment, the other team. With respect, Ron Rivera takes over this summer with respect to the Jets, the most dysfunctional franchise in the NFL, or I guess disrespect to the Jets. You've got scandals, you've got name change, you've got and by the way, he also finds out he has cancer. By the way, you're also up against a team a lot of people think is a Super Bowl contender in week 1. You're down 17-0. You get an IV at halftime. and you come back to score 27 straight and win the football game. So shout out to Ron Rivera and the job he is doing under impossible circumstances. But here's why I can't give the Eagles a pass. They knew who their offensive line was going into the game. And they knew that Washington's strength is their defensive front. And they're up 17-0 with the ball with 1:40 left in the first half. At that point, if you don't turn it over, you're going to win. Just don't crash the car. And Wentz throws a pick to give Washington life right before the half. And then in the second half, you're up 17-7. Washington hasn't had one sustained drive the whole game. You throw another pick to give them a short field. You have another drive that ends with a short field. It's a field goal. All of a sudden, it's a tie game. And now you got to actually play. So I totally agree there was a huge systemic mismatch, defensive line, offensive line. But when you're up 17-0, now you just have to cautiously get home and not give Washington, with Dwayne Haskins, short field after short field. Wentz wasn't able to do that. They weren't able to protect him. Doug Peterson didn't call a game from the perspective of, we won it already, let's just make sure we don't lose it. And now all of a sudden you're 0-1 in a division where you could be the only 1-0 team given what happened with Dallas.
Hey, Brandon, did you think that this game came more down to the scheme and protecting Carson Wentz, or knowing that Ron Rivera got an IV? Was it also a combination of inspired play by Washington? Or do you think is that more of the media? But it feels like Washington came out like, all right, let's go. Or through your eyes, you're like, no, this is a scheme thing, Wilds.
I mean, it's a little bit of everything. And when you look at it, Wilds, you know, I said it earlier on in the show, our games are defined by moments. Our games are defined by a few plays. And when you look at all of this that we're talking about, they still was in a game. Ertz dropped a huge ball in the fourth quarter on 4th and 3. If he catches that ball, they probably win this game. And now we're back in the locker room talking about, okay, guys, we escaped this one, but let's shore up our front line. Let's figure this out. But we're off to a good start. That energy is totally different in the locker room now. So to answer your question, it's a little bit of everything. But each game, every time we watch these games on Sunday or Monday night, it's the same thing. It's going to come down to situational football, and it's going to come down to moments.
All right, well, just like that, Washington has the best record in the NFC East. Probably won't last, but let's marinate on that for a second. Let's play a little take your pick. All right, so the Ravens beat the Browns yesterday, 38-6. Lamar picking up where he left off. You know who else did? Baker Mayfield also picking up where he left off, struggling hard. Brandon, you know this. We spoke. I watched every second of this game. I needed to see if the Browns...